Welcome back, viewers. Episode 19. As you can tell in front of me, we've gotten a delivery. I had some parts that I had to order. These are some things that were somewhat holding up the build process to a degree, but other things that just needed to be done. Really some small odds and ends here and there. So that's what this whole video is going to be about this week. Tackling some of these odds and ends, getting us closer to starting the vehicle and getting it ready. Let's go. First things first, let's unbox everything and take a look at what we have. We've gotten two deliveries. One of them is from Speedway Motors. Now, none of this is a paid promotion. I'm just letting everybody know where I got my parts, where I sourced them from, just so that you guys can know if you happen to be doing the same thing. So, what we've got from Speedway Motors. We have a tachometer that I'm going to be installing in the car. Our new kill switch, this is the push-pull style. This one you push it down to disengage it and you spin it to release it. I just like that style a lot better. Then we've got new connectors for that alternator wiring that keeps driving us crazy. Brake pedal light switch, we're gonna have to figure this one out. I was going one way with my design, but I've kind of found a different way that I want to go. This might present a problem that requires us to keep going down that first same path, but we'll figure that one out. And then just the connectors that go with it. And then additionally, I have hardline clips. I really don't like those P-clamps that are holding the brake lines on. I want them to be a little more solid. These will mount to the frame and then have the brake line clip into it, so it'll be a lot more sturdy. I was looking for different design of these clips, but I couldn't find anything that wasn't, say, $39 for something that holds just two brake lines. So this is the way I went. It's a notch head hardline line clamps. See how they work out. Now, for the other box from Legends Direct, what we have. Paper. Got a new oil filter when we're ready to change the oil and get that up to date. A little bag of Fruities. They threw these in with every order. I didn't eat all of the last bag. I might not eat all of this bag either, but nice little gimmick. Brake shim clips and then plugs for the master cylinder. So this whole master cylinder only runs off of 3 brake circuits. 2 for the front, 1 for the rear. The way it was designed, it looks like there was supposed to be either 2 feed lines, or there was actually 5 circuits on it. So what they've done to the car before, it looks like they just put a fitting in there with a line, cut it, and then welded it together. Well, guess what? They're leaking. So that is stopping me from testing all of the brake system and seeing if that's going to work. So these plugs are going to help with that. The brake shim clips are there just to keep the pads in so that they don't fall out. And then lastly in this box, a new set of running boards. The ones that I had were pretty well beat up. I could have probably reused them, however, I think they were rather inexpensive. They will have to be drilled and remounted again, but this is another little odd and end piece that I need to get to eventually. So I'm going to go ahead and get my parts together. What I'm probably going to work on is the kill switch, getting that hooked up, the connector for the alternator wire, because that really drives me crazy, and then we'll take it from there and see what else happens. Probably those master cylinder plugs, but we're going to go ahead and jump into it and see what we can get done in some limited time today. I think what I'm probably going to start with is that connector over there. That's probably going to be the most in-depth thing that I'm going to have to do today, so I'm going to try and jump into that real quick and get that taken care of. First things first, I need to take the hood off so that I can have a little more access to that area. Now what I've chosen to use to fix that connector, it is a 4-piece connector. Actually, it's a multi-piece connector on the car, but all of the pins are loose and they keep coming out, and I can't imagine that they're going to be a reliable connection. So what I've got is 2 packs, or 2 sets of weatherproof connectors, complete with pins and grommets. So I'm going to go ahead and get the connector taken apart and try and keep it as close as I can to the way it was wired, because again, the wiring schematic is not that great, but that's going to allow me to get this wired up and get a nice click fit connection, almost like a OEM or a factory design. So that's what I'm going to work on with these connectors, and I'm going to go ahead and jump into that now. So as you might be able to see here, I'm going to try and show you exactly how easily all these pins come out. These 2 pins just pull right out. I don't know why, and I'm not happy about it. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Okay, so I do have those 2 connectors hooked up. I did try to start the car, or at least let the starter turn over, and I had my ohm meter or my multimeter hooked up to the battery, and I did see positive voltage. It wasn't much, it was like 0.3 volts, but it was positive. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that means I have the alternator hooked up correctly, and I'll just show you what I have for those 2 connectors. These are the 2 connectors that I had just installed in here. One is for the alternator, and I think the other one is for a gear indicator. I can't be certain, but it does go down here towards the gear linkage. I don't see a gear indicator hooked up or anything. Maybe it's just the neutral switch. The neutral light does come on as well, so if that is what it is, then that means I hooked it up correctly. So I do have my 2 weather pack connectors hooked up, and as you can see from the old connector, there are only 4 wires actually hooked up through here, and these wires are really brittle, hard, old. They're really old. And what was happening is on the other side of this connector, the pins were pulling out. Now I could have probably just pulled the pins out and put the wings back out, but I still didn't like that 2 different pieces of harness were running through this one connector. That just makes it harder to service in the future if there's ever an issue. So that's why I ended up going with those 2 quick connectors you can see there. So the next thing I'd like to try and do is change out my kill switch or quick connection. The one that I have right now is a quick turn. It's really bulky. It's at the back of the car. I want to see if I have enough length to get it, say, right here, right inside the cab, where it'll still be out of place, but the way that this works is you push down to disengage it, and to make the connection again, you simply twist it and it resets itself. I like that style better, so that's what I'm going to try and do, and I'm going to try and see if I have enough length to get that cable out here. If not, I'll find a way to mount it on the closeout panel that I have back there. So I've checked my cable length. I do have enough length in the power cables and negative cables to be able to mount that in the cabin. What I am trying to do is utilize holes that are already here, so I don't have to just go slamming new stuff, new holes where I could just try and use an old one. So I've lined it up with this one hole that's here and another hole, and I've kind of just traced a little bit, a little template that I'm going to try and cut out now, so that I can just try and get this to drop in there. Hopefully it'll work. If it doesn't, I don't know, what's another hole, I guess.
I tried with the air saw, but it wasn't really working the way I had wanted it to, so I figured the blade must be dull, so I was just going to switch over to using my tin snips instead.
Just use tin snips and diagonal cutters if I need to. Do you know what usually helps your air saw work? Air. I forgot to turn the compressor on. So I went back with the air saw and I got a better cut out of the sheet metal. Now I'm just filing it down to make sure everything fits as snug as it can so that I can line up and mark where I want this second hole. I think it might be about time for some rib nuts. Alright, now that I've tested that fits down there, the only thing left to do is going to be to hook up my battery cables. Which unfortunately I'm not going to be able to show you. Brake clips.
Unfortunately, the footage of me installing the brake line clips wasn't really of any good use, so we're going to skip ahead to something else.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. I don't love doing it, but I love it. Where should the next one go? Raise up slightly. Get it up just a bit. I'm losing it.